Hello, everybody. My name's Sean Woolley. I'm the Managing Director of Cloud9 Spain. I am delighted to say that with me today, I have Mark Lamb, who's Commercial Director at one of the foremost, most prominent developments here on the Costa del Sol, Nine Lions. Mark, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good afternoon, Sean. Thank you.
What I wanted to do really was just to pick your brains on what's been happening over the last 6-9 months with this pandemic and how it's affected you. I mean, I've been bleating on about how it's affected us as agents, but obviously you're in a slightly different sector of the same industry as a developer. But first of all, I've got to congratulate you on your team's football result last night, being a true proud Scot. So well done. Yeah,
it's long overdue, 22 years, but we're not counting.
Yeah, I think those guys will still be celebrating today somehow. But, so well done. You're a happy man. Let's just quickly talk about what's been happening in your world. So you're commercial director, Nine Lions. Tell us a little bit about Nine Lions. What is it? Where is it?
Yeah, obviously we're in New Andalusia. It's 53, we think, unique apartments. We're rather large in size from living space to terrace. And we have 90% really good views, and we're in the Gulf Valley. We think we build something a little bit different from the rest. We're not going out there to say where they are ultimate best. We're not saying that, but we just build something that's a bit unique. And thankfully, clients have bought into what we're doing. And yeah, sales have been good.
What sort of price range are we talking about? So if I were to come to Nine Lions, how much would I be expecting to pay for a 2-bed, 3-bed apartment?
Yeah, now from a 2-bedroom, our cheapest apartment, 695, and going up to our most expensive apartment, a penthouse, which is just over 2.4 million.
Okay, so it's not a cheap kind of mass market thing. It's for the people who want something elegant and, as you say, spacious, luxury.
Yeah, we never attempted to do anything here that was going to be the norm. We wanted to build something big, and I think we thought there was an area in the market that was kind of untapped, and most apartments, living space standard between 90 and 110 square meters. Our average apartment, if you look, it's about 150 square meters of living space, going up to 270 meters, and on top of that, some of them over 150 square meters of terrace. So yeah, and for us, you have that beautiful view. So it was trying to adapt the living space, make it contemporary, but make it also new as well, but also have that timeless, ageless style design of the Andalusia style.
Yeah.
How we've done with the tiles on the roof. It's just got real character to it, I think. And our clients, our nationalities is mostly Scandis, and they see, and plus we're in the Gulf Valley, the heart of the valley, from Los Naranjos, Brisas, Aloha. So yeah, it's a nice place to be.
I was going to ask about your kind of target client. I don't know if you set out with a particular client in mind who was going to buy this product, but are people buying mainly for second homes or holiday homes, or is it permanent residence? What's been the mix sort of over the sales that you've done so far?
When we first started, our initial approach was going to be looking more to the Scandi market. As you know, New Andalusia has been very strong for years, and especially Swedish.
Swedish, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And the Swedes got off to a flying start on our development. But then the mixers came in, and we were looking at stats the other day, and to be honest, the Finnish have come from nowhere, and our second highest clientele now, along with the Belgians who for there. So it's the Brits. I never actually thought we would sell to a lot of British clients, I'll be honest with you, from where we are at the start. And then we've started to get 2 sales in with the British people now, which is good. And maybe that'll continue, because I was always not concerned, but just keeping an eye open about, as the currency rates. If we go back, 4 or 5 years ago, up to 125, 130, and now we're down to, I think today, about 111 euro to sterling.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, how has your year been so far? I mean, obviously we've had this dreadful COVID pandemic. I mean, how have you coped? Because I know that agents, we've been, certainly March, April, we kind of went from fair to middling to zero when we had that initial lockdown. The summer for us was a bit of a bounce back because we actually had bodies here and people here making decisions. And then we had another little slump early autumn. How's your year been? Is it reflective of that, or have you had something completely different to contend with?
Obviously when February, March time, when we went into this, dreadful lockdown, for everywhere, and basically, Europe and the world just kind of stood still. We were at a point where we were just going forward then to start doing completions where clients had done a private purchase contract and then going to the final case now where they get the keys for the apartment. And I was, for one, I didn't know where it was going to go. All my years' experience was I was concerned because none of us out there envisaged what would happen. And then we didn't have this remedy or answer how we go forward. But one thing, Sean, I was really, really surprised at when I spoke to my boss in head office was that clients were actually calling us, right, when can I pay for my apartment? A lot of clients were starting to put things in order and say, right, what's my priority in life? And from the first 2 weeks away back in June, when we started to complete, we had 7 completions in the space of 5 weeks. And every single client goes, well, if I'm going to have another lockdown, I want to have a lockdown in Spain. I want to be in my holiday home. So their mindset changed. And it was a breath of fresh air because I think all of us out there, even including the president, the prime ministers all over the world, were thinking, what's going to happen? And then we've not had issue with any single client not want to actually conclude now. It's actually, I think, if anything, it's prioritised where they want to be in life.
Yeah, I agree with you. We've had that. We've had this kind of rethink, particularly people at that level who can afford, an apartment in the Overland of the Sea at €500,000, €1 million. They tend to be people who are self-employed or certainly high up in the corporate world, and they're kind of thinking, do you know what? Life is more important. I've got to get that balance right. And particularly now that people can work from home or are being encouraged to work from home, who wouldn't want to sit on a terrace in a place like Nine Lions and tap away on the laptop instead of somewhere in, I don't know, Derby or Dumfries or wherever?
Yeah, and some of our clients, because some of our apartments have huge amounts of storage space connected to the rear of the apartment, they've decided to say, right, I'm going to convert that into an office. So, right. Life goes on. I'll work from the office within my apartment. And because of the lovely complex as well, they say to themselves, right, well, today I can take a walk around the inside of the complex. I'm not breaking any rules. And I can then go, if I want to use the indoor gym, the indoor pool, sauna, steam room, it's like, I can do this. And for us, if anything, and our best sales that we've actually has been in the last 8 days since we've actually started way back 3.5 years ago.
Well, I was going to ask about that because that's what kind of prompted me to have this discussion with you. Because obviously, a lot of people are sat at home, they'll be watching this, they'll be listening to this thinking, well, the market is crumbling, no one's buying in Spain and blah, blah, blah. What I've noticed is that people are buying, maybe not the volume that they were. We haven't got the volume of clients that we were dealing with, last year, but it hasn't stopped people buying. And as you say, kind of getting on with their lives. I think, we had that initial few months where nothing happened at all because people were just overwhelmed with this COVID thing. But I think now people are kind of a bit COVID fatigue and they just want to get on with their lives. And so I was really interested when you told me the other day that you'd done, I think at the time it was 3 in a week or something. And now I believe you've done another one this morning. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
For a product of your stature and pricing, to do that is incredible. Why? Yeah. I mean, what's happened?
I would love to know what the secret remedy is.
Just keep it at your job, Mark.
Yeah. If anything, we have a great team and we work tirelessly from head office down. We have great support for them as well. They trust us in what we do and they give us anything we need and help. We can lean on them as well. And at the same time we're all for the same cause of building something good. And I think for us, you can move in now. So for here, if at the moment, if a client turns up with an agent, walks onto the apartment and says, well, when can I move in? I say, well, go and get your bag, go and get your toothbrush. It's like that. So they get that stage, and as you say about the fatigue on COVID, they can say, well, I can actually do this now. So that helped. But yeah, we did 4 deals in the last 10 days, which is over 4.5 million, which is good numbers for anything. But some of those deals we've been working on for the last 6 months, where clients have went, tell you what, hang on a minute, there's something going on, as we say, in the world at the moment. When things return to norm, we'll come back. But one thing, Sean, that I've then adopted and seen what's been happening here is that I can see this in a nice way, a lot of the tire kickers have left. You know, the ones that come on holiday, they don't know what they're doing. They go and look at an apartment or a villa from 3 million to an apartment at 300,000 in Fingarola. They're all over the place. Where we've kind of found now that more of our clients are saying, Mark, this is my spec, this is what I want, can you deliver this? And there've been more from that side. And one really positive thing I would say is, we've not had people knocking on the door saying, I want discount, I want this, yeah? And because for me, Marbella's always been good. If I go back to the times when I worked in Costa Blanca, back 25, 26, 27, you know, back over in Cyprus as well, that we had this, you know, global recession. And, you know, especially in Costa Blanca, prices started to drop. But, you know, you've been on the coast more years than me. I think you'd probably agree that Marbella's always been strong. And it's been strong because of the climate, most importantly, that we have. And it's easy location to go anywhere in Europe. You know, flights are more. I remember when I worked in Mallorca a little while, and Mallorca, you know, winter time to Scotland, the flights would close down, you had to fly to Manchester. Well, you can still do all this. So I think Marbella prices have set. I've seen a reflection in a lot of the resales. Some of them have come down slightly, but I think, to be fair, a lot of them have been on the market for a long, long time. But there is still good stock out there on the resale market. And I think, if anything, what happened is the tyre kickers have kind of moved sideways. The clients have came in now who want to buy, want to put an added experience into their life now and saying, right, I'm going to do this. And if anything, with our British clients that have came forward now, they've realised, right, okay, the sterling's not strong against the euro at the moment. But what's happened? Interest rates have came down really low, all-time low. You know, rates at the moment with some of our clients is like 1.89. Yeah. So they're thinking they can fix that for 5 years. So they're thinking, well, I don't have to rely on all my money on currency because I can take a euro mortgage. So I think, and one thing I would say is, and I think we chatted about this other night as well, is that I take my hat off to the banks, because I think the banks have stood by a lot of the developers here, not just on the coast, but in Spain, and says, right, we're not going to have a run on this. We're not going to do it. Life will go on. And I think that's helped everybody. It's given us a full support.
I was going to ask you about that because I predicted, I wrote a book, you may know, about 6 months ago. And I had in there a little COVID chapter, you know, like what's happening. And one of the predictions I made in there was that there may be some element of discounting towards the end of the year, because traditionally that's the end of the financial year for most companies here in Spain. So I expected developers maybe in Q4 of this year, which we're in now, to start discounting, but it hasn't happened. And that I assume is because the banks are supporting those developers and saying, you know what, we're gonna let this run until next year. Hopefully we'll get back to some degree of normality. We're not going to call in the funds, you know, carry on as you are, because there's still liquidity in the market. It's not anything like the 2008 worldwide banking crisis that we had. There's still people out there with money. Money is still flowing. And I agree with you. The banks have helped the situation. I mean, developers aren't keen to discount anyway because they don't want to dilute their product, particularly with clients that they've sold to in the past. But yeah, we're not seeing anything like I imagined there would be.
Well, and for us, our stance is that we should be loyal to our client bank that bought with us 3 years ago off plan. And when we start discounting anything, then to me as well, it takes away one loyalty to the client. Let's forget, you know, the financial spreadsheets of the company or whatever. You look at the client who's put faith in you, gave you money from the start, from day one, when basically there was a shell. And they think to themselves, and they like to hear now when we're saying, no, we don't discount. You know, we may give you a free sunshade or do something to help you, whatever. But, you know, Ferrari, if you look at Ferrari at the moment, Ferrari sales are up again. Yeah. Because all Ferrari did was for 3 months, they reduced the stock back, waited to go back to the market again. And when you go and buy a Ferrari, you don't expect to ask for a discount. So, and I think it's anything in life, it's what you think something is worth. And if something is worth, you will pay it. But I think if you can take, again, something positive, if we can take anything from this terrible COVID pandemic that we've had, people have started to, really people that are super business people in life, have started to pinpoint what they want out of their life, they'll pay it, and then just park it, put it to the side. Yeah. And that's been, and I hope not just for our project, But for you guys out there as well, we all want to see, you know, Marbella, the Holy Spain, succeed again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tell me, we've had a bit of success recently with virtual viewings. Obviously, one of the biggest problem for us as agents is getting the clients here at the moment. But what we've done to try and bridge that gap is actually having the clients with us, but virtually. So we've done quite a few virtual viewings, video viewings. Is that something that you've been doing? And have you noticed any success in that strategy? Have you had any sales over the phone, people who haven't actually been physically here?
We sold one of our nice ground floor 4-bedroom apartments on Monday, and we did it on the virtual with the agent and the client. The client was in Miami at the time. The client basically floats between Miami and Switzerland. You know, he's a CEO of a huge worldwide organization. He'd been to see us over a year ago, and we did the virtual tour and effectively through it, and then bang, within 5 minutes we did the reservation, which was, and the agent was, you know, very, very happy. He didn't have to take the client for lunch, you know, from his expenses. So yeah, that was good. Then 2 weeks ago, we sold another ground floor apartment, and the agent basically came up, set up a drone, and put it out, and did a travel down to Las Pisas Golf, came back, an overview of the swimming pool. And what then happened was that client was potentially going to be looking at 4 different projects and possibly looking at a villa in La Quinta as well. And then he says, no, I'm coming to just see 9 lines. That's the apartment, that's the view I want. And when they came in, Nick did a great job in the office of sales manager, and he wrapped it up within an hour. So it was good.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. Yeah, I've just been talking to our marketing guy, actually saying that, you know, the buying journey is changing. And us as agents, we have to adapt to that, because I think these virtual viewings are here to stay. Because I think people now, if they're given the opportunity of sitting in their own home and being taken around an apartment or a villa by an agent or a developer here in Spain, then they're going to do that. So I think the research and the viewing elements, the first viewing elements, are now starting to combine in one. So they're doing all of that from home. And when they actually come here to physically view something, they're almost at the second viewing stage, because they've seen. So it goes back to what you were saying earlier, that the conversion rate of clients that are here on the ground now is sky high, because they're actually already quite a few steps down the buying journey when they get to us. Whereas traditionally they've been coming to have a look at, you know, 100 different things, and well, you know, it would then take another 6 months to get them to that stage.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we have a conference call with my boss, Fraser, once a week. And going back, you know, we looked at the stats back 2-3 months ago, and he was probably concerned because we had maybe 30, 40 viewers a month coming through. And at that time, we weren't converting to any sales. And I said to him, but some of these clients that are coming in are actually being out to look at 8, 9, 10 projects in one day. Their heads all over the place. Yeah. They you know, pardon my pun, but they don't know if it's New Year or New York. They just don't know where they're going. And you can see them, they just want to go back to their hotel room. Where what I've tried to do as well is help some of the agents who have not been in the industry for a long, long time, is to try and educate them to say, right, how do you get that client to see what he wants on his wish list? What does he want? And then jumping on from what you're saying is clients now are saying, right, I'm targeting this is what I want, and this is what I can afford. And the tire kickers have kind of moved off from it. And especially for our product, what we're doing, you know, it's luxury, it's high brand, that we don't expect to get a conveyor belt of 30 or 40 people through a month. Yeah. I would, you know, we'll take the people coming in, but I think from our side, I'm a realist that we'll probably get maybe a dozen to 15 a month now, if that, and we'll have more setting up Zoom call chats to go forward. One thing I do think is going to be a big sales point now for new developments is that clients are lazy as well. They don't want to get an empty shell apartment. They want to buy something that's furnished, so they can just turn up with their clothes and say, right, that's my apartment. And some of these rich clients, you know, we had one client who spent a lot of money with us, was more interested, he was going to miss his tee off at Las Pisas Golf than spend 3 million with us. So
priorities.
Yeah, priorities. So what they do now is you're now trying to have that set. And I think if anything, a lot of developments I've worked with in the past as well, you go into an apartment, if there's no furniture and it's soulless. So you have to try now, and you can do as much marketing as you want. But when that client comes on, so I always say that you've got 2 minutes to impress. If you don't get their action in 2 minutes, you're gone. And I think if you can open that door and say nothing to the client, they walk in and they see the qualities, they see the furnishings, they'll go, yeah, I'll have this. And then we'll then work with usually the wife. You know, I'll turn around and say, right, I'm not happy with that sofa. Can you change this or change this bit? And we'll do that. So you're kind of juggling about to do everything, really.
It's interesting, isn't it? I've noticed quite a few developers are doing that. Rather than have the traditional one show home, they're having four. Yeah. Because it, you know, to appeal to as broad an audience as possible. And also what we've noticed is that people, particularly during this pandemic, where they're looking at their lives in general, they don't want to wait anymore, do they? They don't want to wait 2 years for something that is going to be built, because, you know, in 2 years, the world could be, you know, who's going to be the president of the US, you know? So it's all these like variables that can crop up. And I think people, like you said, they want to see it ready. They want to see it finished, furnished, ready to go.
Well, if you look at the stats, 2 of our sales that we've got this week, we've sold 2 of our show apartments. Right. And our client this morning, who'd been at combined 5 times now over the last week, has actually looked at every single apartment that we've got left in our stock. So, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, hang on a minute, he's going from a 2-bed up to our big 4-bedroom and our penthouses. But then when he narrowed it down to 2, it was 2 or show apartments. And then he said, right, okay, I'm going to go for this one. We actually had to say to him, sorry, within the last hour, we've sold it to a Belgian client who called us up, who'd been to see it the week before. No. And yet I think he thought that we were doing a bit of a sales ploy on him. Yeah. We don't do that. And I goes, no, I'm sorry, it's gone. And then he goes, right, okay, I'm going for plan B. And that was our second show apartment. So, you know, if anything of our stats, so if we take the 2 clients that we've sold to this week, they've done a combined 7 visits to us over the last probably, let's say, 3 months. And then they've looked at every single apartment. Well, the client today has, the other client probably looked, I think, about 7 units. Right. And then they've narrowed it down. And when I asked them today, you know, what pushed you forward? I know that you obviously you wanted this 4-bedroom with this particular view, whatever. What pushed you forward? And both of them turn around and says, I don't want to run around shops with a mask on, looking for furniture, falling out with my wife. It's ready. I can move in.
Fantastic. How do you think this is all going to pan out? I mean, obviously we've had news of a potential, well, not a potential, a vaccine. But there's talk about rapid airport testing. I personally think we're going to start flying again in the new year. And I think we're going to maybe approach some sort of normality in Q2. What do you think? I mean, how are you second guessing it? And how is it going to affect you as a developer and your sales success?
I agree. Well, we're all notorious. Christmas is always usually a slow month. January's always been a good month for us every year, because normally people are stuck indoors with their wife or their lovely husbands, want to kill each other, and then they make a pact out what we're going to do. And because they're in that level of finance, they say, well, you know, I'm not going to give up smoking. Let's go and buy a car. Let's buy a second home. And they normally come to us when we have good sales in January. If anything, hopefully we think there's a vaccine that's on the horizon now that's helping. But people are circumnavigating it at the moment, Sean. They're actually saying, right, okay, can I travel here? What do I have to do? I think from the 23rd of this month, is it in Spain? You have to have a PCR test before you come in, if you're from a hotspot country. I think we'll probably ramp up doing our Zoom chats with more clients that we have. But if anything, I think there'll be a strong growth in the market for people out there, probably I'd say maybe from February right through till April or May. I think a lot of developments and the current market on the resale market will be stronger. Because people will see that things are starting to get back to normal again. And back to what I said earlier is you can borrow finance at so cheap rates at the moment. Banks are practically giving the money away. That if you're switched on, you can say, well, I've got money in an investment to still pay me this return. I'll use the interest on this investment to fund and service my mortgage payments.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's what we're thinking and telling people as well. So the message from us is pretty similar. We as agents just need a bit more volume coming through the doors, but as I said before, the people who are here seem to be serious, and also the people who are here seem to be at a higher budget, so it's certainly helping our guest developments like yours. The market that seems to be affected most is the mass market, where you're looking at maybe 200,000-300,000 euro apartments, because I guess those buyers tend to be employed. They have maybe jobs at risk at the moment, which is obviously a horrendous thing. The people that you're dealing with, our guests, are business owners and entrepreneurs and people like that who I guess have a little bit more freedom on their hands to travel and make decisions. But it's certainly an interesting time for everyone, and I hope that we do see a degree of normality return as soon as possible, really.
I mean, our average age on our project's 55 years of age,
Right.
and most of our clients have 2 or 3 homes in the world.
I've got 4 more years, and I'll come to you for a luxury apartment, Mark.
Only 4 years, is it? You're wearing well.
Oh, I was going to say. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really great to speak to you and talk about the market and have a serious discussion once, at last.
Yeah.
But, it's great to get your insight. You're there on the ground, and it's great to get a view of someone who's developing and not selling multiple projects. So thank you very much for that. And hopefully maybe we'll catch up in the new year and see how you're getting on and seeing if the market has behaved as we were expecting.
Yeah, and I also like to add in finally, Sean, as well, thank you so much for giving us some airtime on this to have a chat. But when I look at your company, you're one of the switched on companies who your media side, especially your social media side, is really good. You push things forward. And because I see some, agents out there who have stock on, it's been on the website for 6 months, 1 year. You're constantly doing it. You're signing off your new book, which I think will be a better seller than how Trump lost the elections.
Tell you, I'm selling at least 1 a day now.
You're up to 1 a day now. You're doing fantastic.
Yeah. Or was it half a day? No, I think it's 1 a day.
Well, maybe for my Christmas list, put me down for my stocking list to get a book off you anyway, okay?
Signed copy. There you go. Signed copy and a beer. How's that suit you?
Spot on. Thank you, Sean. And have a lovely weekend.
And you. Take care.
Take care.